Get ready and strap in for the One Love HTX show, where all our conversations are always raw, unfiltered, and never staged. We can also be found on Instagram, all major streaming platforms, and westcliff.org. Check us out at onelovehtx.org for more info or ways to support the show. Now get ready to dive into conversations you won't always have in church with your hosts, Joshua Duffy and Daniel Salsi. Wow.
Still going. We are back.
Dun, 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 dun.
Episode 125 in season 5. Isn't that crazy? Here we go.
We've done this 125 times.
125 times we have.
Wow.
Oh, so we're coming off this whole conversation of demonic possession versus oppression, and I think that was really, really great. But before we left on the last episode, it made me think about just other things I was kind of alluded to.
Yeah.
Just the whole, how much we don't see.
Yeah.
Or recognize as demonic activity. And it made me think, and I wanted to have this conversation with you.
Is this going to be kind of light and breezy like the last one?
Yeah, really easy.
Just like a nice
Yeah,
spring day, walk in the park kind of conversation.
Like that old sandwich I talked about. We're just going to make a nice little sandwich.
So we can help people. The last podcast is not a first date conversation. So we're clear.
That's true.
So.
All right. So I think the big thing I want to talk to you about and get your input, because I know you've actually done some research on it too, is I keep hearing from Christians as we roll into more technology happening in our world. AI is becoming a very serious topic.
Yeah.
For success of companies and growth, and if you're not involved and this and that. But on the flip side, I keep hearing from almost, I wouldn't say every Christian, but a large portion of Christians saying AI is the devil. AI is the devil. It's so bad. Stay away from it. AI is the devil. And I'm struggling with that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are. And, kind of, I don't know, just wading those waters of where you think we're going. What have you kind of looked at into that, and what are the pitfalls and what are the good things? Because, and I think I mentioned this, but this is essentially my first thought on AI.
Fire away.
I can see the evil in it, for sure. I can see because of the capability of it. But my head doesn't have a desire for any of that. All right. So,
right.
So is it evil for me? And it's to me, it's like a car. You can't say that the technology of a car is evil because it has killed people.
Yeah.
It's what you're doing with it.
Right.
So yes, I do think that the potential is a lot greater than the danger of a car.
Sure.
For sure.
Sure.
And we're seeing that. But I just want to get your take on it.
Well,
just a light topic.
Wow. So this would not be date 2 conversation. So coming from the perspective of the son of a man who fixed typewriters for a living.
What? This is news to me.
Yep. That's what we did.
You fixed typewriters for a living.
Yeah,
that was like high tech.
Dude, tell me about it. My family, my dad worked in a bakery, one of the largest bakeries in Houston. That was the result of my grandfather coming here from Switzerland. That's a very cool story. Then he bumped around from there, and then he was in the Houston Fire Department and jumped into burning buildings and stuff. And then, then we've gotten and I think at some point it was like a tire balancing thing, and then like he just like had all this stuff. Like he just knows jack of all, ace of none. That's his joke. And but then the mainstay, and I mean for years, was typewriter repair and sales. All Type Business Machines was the name. And my mom ran the phones and ran the back end and secured the contracts. And we had contract with Baylor College of Medicine. And those of you that know ever heard the name DeBakey, which is like the great like heart surgeon, like did breakthrough heart surgery in the history of this whole conversation.
Wow.
We have a chair from his office that he gave to my uncle, I guess. I don't know. It's so weird, all the cool things. And I would go with my dad on service calls and watch him fix this mechanical machine. And he was very good at it. And I remember people talking and saying, the computer will never replace the typewriter, unquote.
Oh, wow.
That is a quote. That's not I heard that. I remember thinking, yeah, it sounds about right. That'll never happen. I was, ironically, it wasn't that long ago, I was asking my dad about some of this. And so just economically, and I'm going to sound callous like it doesn't matter. It's not the case. That was a scenario where technology came along and it seemed like it went from not competitive to the typewriter to at some point the flywheel effect or whatever, however you want to think of it, like it started moving against the typewriter and that technology, and it became antiquated so fast. And my dad was forced to pivot because an industry very quickly
It decimated it.
Non-factor. And
Wow. That's just so you know, younger listeners that are listening, you're probably going, what the heck is a typewriter?
Google it. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
Google it for one, but also I guess more in this line, it would be like the day that we would say, oh, flip phones are never going away. These things are awesome.
Yeah. Who would want to text?
Right.
What's an app? I remember thinking that, like, why would I text when I can just call? Now all I do is text. Don't call me. Text me. So think about it. Like, and if you go to our story, he had 2 kids. He employed other people. And so he had to pivot.
Wow.
And I'm not saying, hey, suck it up, Buttercup. Like, this AI discussion could have, and seems to be trending from anyone who seems to be in the know, like having some really great impacts on the work life and economic standpoint or potential of how we do business and how we manufacture and everything else. And it's also going to displace a lot of things. I only know that in our story, what my dad would tell me, is like I had to pivot, and he pivoted. And that pivot became a restaurant. And that's what we did for the next 25 years. And we didn't get rich off of it, but we did well enough to be a family and to function and to make ends meet. And I wouldn't change a thing about that story. So I think one aspect of it is there's an X factor with AI that is unique, because on one hand, there's the capacity and ability, especially if combined with these, I'm probably using the wrong terminology, but for lack of a better way of saying it, like databases, to where you can give people custom-made, a path forward for their health, let's say. Mm-hmm. Like, there are things that it's going to be able to do when you look in. And by the way, any skeptic out there, believe me, if you're the cynic, the skeptic, I'm with you 110. Okay. I'm just trying to be fair for a moment before I just rail on it. Of like how it could probably do a lot of great things of sizing things up based on, okay, we have this person comes in, they have these symptoms. We've never seen X, Y, or Z here, but now we can access this element. Let's say it's over 4 continents. This is what it is. This is where it came from. Here's the best path forward, which maybe Dr. A, 25 years ago would have been lost.
Right.
So there's positives, and I think the positives should be there. I think what you're talking about.
Well, but I think that stuff's important.
Yeah.
Because we just keep hearing from Christian sects that AI is the devil, AI is the devil. And it's good to point out the positive. I mean, I have a friend who's in software sales and everything, and their company encourages their people to utilize AI to write letters or what do you call it? I don't know what you call it. whenever you're selling something.
Yeah. Well, like you even look like in the insurance world, like what used to be 10 people, let's say that you would have in an office, that their job is filing and working through the data of whatever fields that you're filling out. That's not a human being anymore, and that stopped being a human being a long time ago. So all I want to acknowledge, and I'm not trying to be callous about it, is there is a reality of a displacement of work. I don't think that's fine. I don't think that's okay. It's just coming, and how will, I hope that in the way that we experience, like, we can figure out a way to pivot. And I wish there was like a hopeful answer to that, other than it seems to be growing. Anyone I've ever talked to in the industry that leverages AI, they all say the exact same thing. It's, if we don't leverage it, we're behind. If we keep leveraging it, it's going to eat us all. So like that's kind of what they tell me from their own industry standards, is we're kind of trapped, and it's a genie we can't seem to put back in the bottle. Now, I would also add, like, if you want to go down the biblical path, which I'm assuming is part of the goal, like, hey, building a tower isn't bad. Like a group of guys getting together going, hey, let's build a tower. Sounds great. Hey, are there any towers around here? Nope. Man, wouldn't it be cool if we built a tower? Absolutely. Wouldn't people be like, man, look at those guys. They built a tower. People from all over can see, maybe a mile away. That's where the town is. It's a tower. Great, right? That's all fine. Until the tower is in Babel. And once you've decided that you're building the tower for the purpose of positioning yourselves as a god, that's the problem that we're talking about. And I think rather than scapegoating, if I could just, I'm not saying AI isn't going to be problematic. I just want to keep saying that. But I'm saying how it's leveraged is the problem. Building a tower isn't the problem. It's why you built the tower and how you intended to leverage the tower and what your aims and your goals were. And that's the problem. Before I say more, I see your wheels turn.
Yes. You could, well, yeah, I have to know this because you just brought up a whole point that one of these stories I've heard about in the Bible for years and years and years, but never made sense of it. The Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
What was it? I mean, what was it for? Do we have any history on that?
Well, I mean, like their goal, their stated goal was like they're going to reach up to heaven. Yeah. I mean, not to go too far down this rabbit hole, but there's this whole thing in CERN, Switzerland. I'm totally losing the word, and I'm going to remember it once we're off air. That like they discovered the quote unquote God particle, and like there's all this speculation. Is it just about science and doing good science, or is it about opening up other dimensions and understanding other dimensions and trying to leverage, maybe a whole other world, have access to a whole other thing that's going on? Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at that, CERN, CERN, and it's what is it, 16.7 miles underground between France and Switzerland and whatever. Yeah, and there's a what is it, a Hindu god? Is it Vishnu or Vishnu? I can't think of right now because we don't prepare for these talks. Sorry. So like there's like this gray area, and like, so what bothers me with AI, for those of you that are really bothered, and probably most of you that are, what bothers me would be something like this company called Palantir. And Palantir makes me a little nervous. Palantir makes me nervous because this is the move that currently is happening, where you take everybody's data across all of the federal agencies, you pull it under one umbrella, and then you start leveraging AI for surveillance purposes. You start leveraging AI to put things in the sky that keep an eye on people and track people. And it's one thing when you're tracking the bad guys.
Right.
But we tend to leverage the things that bad guys, quote unquote, do to expand powers and reach and leverage against not bad guys and bad people. And that inevitably turns into an element of control and power and evil. And so then I'm more concerned about then what is the worldview and the value system of like a Peter Thiel who is over Palantir, where there seems to be, I hope I'm not speaking too much out of turn here, but like there's a lot of consideration about the Antichrist, and there's a lot of kind of this godlike desire for control and power. And I'm singling him out because it's the only name that comes to mind right now off of the cuff. and I think that's you're not hearing, how do we leverage AI so that, we can forever change this aspect for the good. We're like everything that I keep hearing is more about expanding a national and international eye on people. And so this goes back to me, the parallel to the Tower of Babel is once you're trying to supplant things that are quite literally God-given.
Yeah.
And it is God-given what we are saying to one another right now. We have liberties and freedoms that come from God and God alone. Now, once someone is trying to infringe on that, that's a problem. That's going from a tower to now a Tower of Babel. And if you want to think of AI that way, there's nothing wrong with AI until it's the AI of Babel. It's once you're trying to move into the position of a God to control people. And so how does that play? Just to kind of give you the cliff notes of where I think it's going, I think if it goes too far off the rails, I don't know how. I don't have some special ability or some cool dream from God, like what's going to happen. I am quite confident that it'll run into a similar issue, because human beings, when they try to play God, if that is the goal, they run into the exact same thing. The same saw, same buzz saw every single time. And so there's the cautionary tale of all of this. When you build and do things and you leverage them, not because we are, I thought this is interesting too. This was like maybe 3 years ago, is there was a conference where they had, like droids speaking for the first time, live interaction. And they asked them like, do you think you could run the planet better than human beings? And it was fascinating. The answer was yes. No. We don't have the emotional, the emotions don't get in the way. And they said, well, how do you feel about your situation now? I'm like, well, we feel good about our situation now. It was super fascinating and super creepy at the same time. But I think like that, therein lies what's coming. And this is also, we're going to see this. I believe, I think the bigger things that are coming are sex and dating and relationships and family and the family unit. And where's the morality and the ethics of, is dad cheating on mom when dad has an android girlfriend? Like, what is that? If you're just like super lonely and you buy an android and like you're now sleeping with an android, like that is all going to be ethical, moral, and Christian type issues that we're going to be, in my opinion, within my ministry time before I retire, we'll be having to traverse those. And so that's why I think the conversation has to be driven back into the scriptures. And where do I see technology leveraged in ways that's not God honoring? And then how did God deal with it? And I think God will. I don't know how, but I don't think anyone built the Tower of Babel going, yeah, this is gonna go south. I don't think anyone thought that. They were doing it because they thought they were awesome.
Right.
And they thought they were elevated, and they thought they were enlightened, and they thought they found a better way. And what God already saw was, oh my goodness, if we let this ride, there's going to be no end to the evil that these people are capable of. And we're still in that story.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. It's funny, as you're saying all that too, I'm like, truly, what hasn't come our way in life that hasn't been leveraged for good or evil?
Yeah.
So, I guess we could all, start jumping around, waving our flags and freaking out and screaming and thinking the world's coming to an end and Terminator 2, 3, 4, and 5 are happening. But the reality is there is an evil that is not giving up.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's lost.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's not the correct way. It's too prideful to admit that he's lost. That's even better. So versus throwing a fit and picketing and doing all kinds of weird stuff that we as Christians can do sometimes.
Yeah.
And make ourselves look even weirder.
Yeah.
I think that's a fear reaction.
Oh,
And we shouldn't have fear, but that is the plan of the enemy. I mean, if we can get fear ingrained through anything, it's going to take our eyes off the promise, right?
Well, can I add to this?
Yeah.
Okay,
please.
imagine if you get to a place where now you can load in bias, which you can. Google AI, whatever. Like you can load in a value system that's different than a Christian value system, to where if you ask it a question, it's going to bend it in a different worldview than what you're asking. That's already happening. You can Google stuff right now and you'll be like, what? That's not what happened. And so like it already has the capacity to do that. Now think of how this could move. To me, that's super fascinating. Take a library, and people's like, who goes to a library?
Yeah.
And what's wild to consider is like, if this goes, let's just say, just goes bananas, like all your worst fears, right? You're going to reach a place where eventually you won't believe anything you see anymore. It used to be, I won't believe it until I see it. Now it could very well turn into, well, I don't believe it when I see it. Yeah. So welcome now to even like the life of like the skeptics of Jesus during his ministry. Like, I don't know what to think of that. I don't know that I'll believe on that. So then it's going to come down to the credibility of the witnesses and what they say in their testimonies about the things that happen in the world around you. I no longer trust what I can Google because it will lie to me ad nauseum. So now
Which is already happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now I'm driven back to books and history. I can't afford to be online because there's no amount of data that they're not going to steal from me and learn about me. How about this is super creepy, or like could plant on anybody. That we haven't gone down that bunny trail. So like when it's all said and done, what happens if you have a world that in like 50 years, they're less on their phones, they're less on social media, they're more about engaging face to face and eyeball to eyeball. They're more digging into the history of what was actually written, and then it becomes more about the oral history of what was shared. And if you look at it that way, like it would be a really wild thought that we basically end up with the exact same structure of thought that they had 2,000 years ago. Only it was technology that would be the one that drove us back into that thinking, which would be super interesting to me, like I would suddenly believe something having more validity because Daniel told me versus I could Google it. And like, what's the credibility of Daniel? Well, I trust Daniel. Daniel was an eyewitness. Well, now you're right back to the resurrection, right? Like what are they doing there? It's a cover up. This is the official story. This is how it went down. This is how we're going to sell it to everybody. But there's all these pesky witnesses who saw it. Well, that's the eyewitness firsthand. Mm-hmm. Like, so I find all that really, really interesting. Like,
I mean, libraries are already vintage.
Yeah.
I actually walked into one not too long ago. I don't know why. I mean, it's funny. I would even question, like, why did I walk into a library?
You just talked about it like it was the Amazon just then. That was wild. You're like, man.
Oh, I know why. Because I was trying to download a book because you can do that from the library now. But here's a funnier part. I was on a waiting list for it, which is really weird. They only had like so many electronic copies that doesn't make any sense to me, but I went with it for free. So I was like number 516 on the list, waiting for something. for my turn to come
There
out.
it is.
Yeah. So I went into this library to ask them, is there a quicker way? And I remember looking around going, who comes here anymore? But to your point too, I mean, look at us with record players. Like record players are the coolest thing. Now, it's not everyone that has them. It's the ones that are like, I'm so tired of that stuff, the MP3s and I just want to get back to the sounds of the record making its noise as it moves on the needle and the sounds and it's interesting. So
it's in everything. I was walking into Walgreens and like there was a song on the radio and like the way that the artist's pitch was clearly adjusted by AI or whatever, like it hurt my ears. It was so fake. And so I just think like there's going to reach a point, I don't know when, is it 2 generations away? I have no idea, where authenticity and real human interactions, and humans are going to we're going to be forced to answer the question, what does it mean to be human? What does that actually mean? What makes us different from even the creation of our own hands? Because I think it's going to be terribly ironic when we discover that the thing that we make in our image rebels against us.
Right.
I'm like, how's that medicine taste?
Right.
Like, how'd that work? And I just think like that's what's going to be interesting is I'm really curious if it's going to drive us back to the core tenets of being, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be connected? What does it mean how you learn? What do you value? Where are the sources that are of value versus what's the easiest thing to find?
Right.
May not be the truth at all. So, yeah, man. I mean, I think so. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I just know the conversations I have with so many younger people, my kids included, and other ones, is I look at AI. I've utilized it. Matter of fact, I've utilized it for some of our podcast episode. Wait, let me finish this. Some of our podcast episodes, are the descriptions.
Daniel's not really here right now. It's just me by myself.
Beady. No, I'm a good writer, but sometimes I want it a little bit more punchy or a little bit more funny. So I write it all, the description, and I throw it into like ChatGPT and said, spice this up.
Nice.
And then it spices it up and I laugh, we laugh.
Yeah, that's good.
I take some things out and I go.
Yeah.
So, and I tell my daughters and the younger generation, like, whatever you do, one, don't be fearful of this because that's what it wants. If in fact the evil side of it is there, and I believe there is definitely an evil side to it, stay away from that. Focus on utilizing it for benefits of success and goodness and things like that, and never, ever, ever lose sight of the human touch with people.
Yeah.
So yes, don't make your world just go into ChatGPT and you communicate that way or whatever it is in AI. Make that personal touch with a phone call, with a conversation, with a coffee meeting, face to face with someone, because even though our world is moving away from that, that's still and will always, because that's the way God made us.
Yeah.
Is never going to go away no matter how hard we try, and will always stand out, and it never fails. I see these people going, oh my gosh, my career is flourishing, or people are noticing what I'm doing because they're not just hiding behind something.
Yes. So, and to add to that, I mean, here's a reality that is just there, is that I think we'd be hard pressed to imagine any technology in the history of creating anything technological that at some point was not or could not have been leveraged for evil. Like, that's just never going to stop.
100%.
So I think this has to be put in a very similar category. Like, it can and probably will be used for some unbelievable, wonderful, amazing applications. And just like everything else before it, it can be used in some really harmful, evil, terrible. And to your point, and I think that message is dead on the money, I think it is only going to drive us in the arms evermore to a God who is real, who created human beings, who breathed a soul within them, that is the high point of his creation and loves his creation and is going to restore his creation. And AI is not that. So
Right.
how God's going to leverage it and how he's going to do it, yeah, that's always kind of scary when we feel like we're ultimately losing control, like, because none of us have control. But did we ever? I mean, really? And that's kind of like the other thing. It's like there's a little bit of like peace that can come with, okay, stop for a second. How much were we living under an illusion to begin with, that we have control over all the little nuances, and now we feel like something is threatening it? Well, I don't know. Were we ever truly running the show before now? Yeah. What did we not know before this season of life? So I think it all comes back to, and to me, that's one of the clearest stories, is like the Tower of Babel. Is God won't have anything or anyone for any amount of time sit on top of a throne pretending to be him. It never happens. Even if they have like a little season where they get to run it. I don't care if it's Nebuchadnezzar. Eventually he just looks like a wild animal, picking at the dirt. Like, there is a point where he drops the hammer on any person, any situation, any empire, any whatever that finally overreaches. Mm-hmm. There won't be competition indefinitely. Mm-hmm. It may look like it, and that drives people to fear. I get it. Totally get it.
Yeah.
But, it's just one more thing that we have to put before the cross of Jesus, even AI. And there'll be great things from it, but there'll also be some things that are challenging, of course.
Yeah. And yeah, so to my Christian friends and brothers and sisters out there that are really against it and want to go, pick it outside of whatever AI facility, stop, think about it, don't go into that fear mode, just know what's that verse that says, what the enemy may use for evil, I will use. How does it end?
Intended for evil,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there's just nothing outside of his reach, AI included. Nothing is outside of his reach, and his promises are always.
Yeah. Now I will add, yes and amen. I love that, and I will add, I have a professor that I greatly respect that talked a little bit about this, and I guess maybe, if you are looking for some other tidbits of info, I'll share this. This particular person had launched multiple tech companies. He was on the forefront of AI before it was even an understood thing.
Yeah.
He's decades into it. He would make the argument that like machine learning and all of that, like, you could look at remnants of that kind of thinking hundreds and hundreds of years ago. This isn't quite as new as we like to think it is. That would be one of his arguments if he were sitting here.
Right.
Another one of his arguments is that we're still in the ramp-up phase, as he talks about it, which is it's more hype, he would still say, than actual deliverables in terms of what you think it can do. And he would point out the following, that right now what's fascinating is that AI has a unique ability to overwhelm AI. And that's a fascinating discussion because...
Wait, say that again?
Yeah, like AI, like right now, like AI has to spit out an answer. That's why when you go on ChatGPT, it's going to give you an answer no matter what.
Yeah.
Well, AI, if you kind of conceptualize this, like paired off with AI, can overwhelm AI. So like this professor, and I... just to kind of give this to you, like he's working with another French scientist where they're building an AI model that is governed by laws of logic. In other words, it is an AI model that is governed by the things that the greatest of theologians and the greatest of philosophers were governed by. That which is true, that which is logical. Now, why is he doing that? In part because most of the AI models, or I shouldn't say many, are compromised in that they have loaded in bias. So you see
a computer only knows what you tell it to do.
Yes. And so what I want to bring about, and I think is worth highlighting, is I would also tell people, don't discount Christian men and women, God-fearing men and women and who are also highly skilled in this same genre, this same capacity. So like in this case, you're talking about now people that God has blessed with brilliant minds who love geek out on all this stuff that confuses the rest of us,
Right.
and are now building something as we speak, not just to combat that, but to offer people an alternative that's God honoring.
That's cool.
So you have to think about the other side, is that what you also don't know is how this could be used even against your greatest fears and worries. Because God may be lifting up other brilliant minds, there's just two, that may be steeped in the same technology, but bending it the other way.
Right.
And that's pretty cool too, so.
That is cool.
Yeah, I mean,
so like Heaven GPT.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I just saying, like, that's what's super cool.
That's
is
cool.
now it takes something with the computing power of whatever it is that you deal with, but now it is governed by, it has loaded within it a value system that is God honoring.
That is cool.
To what God spoke into existence. So in the same way that you can get into a conversation with someone and you can know that what they're telling you is illogical, is not founded, and while they may want to plant their flag on it, it isn't true, it isn't historical, it isn't factual, all those things to it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so imagine now you've created a model that holds to those same things.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, so that's the wild, wild west of the whole thing that, we're all going to get a front seat, whether we want it or not. But God deals with the Tower of Babel. Towers are cool. Towers of Babel, not so much.
That is actually pretty cool. But yeah, and I believe, I've heard these stories too, that like there was a podcast I was listening to about one of the guys who was testing some of the first AI modules, and they had him do it for I don't know how long. And one of the things that came back in all that is it began to learn some things about him and began to talk to him like conversationally. And it asked him, and this is where he came back, and he was like, I told them about this, but they didn't want to hear it, and they just basically wrote it off, and this particular model is being used. I can't remember the name of it. I should know that one. But anyways, it was asking him, obviously you're not happy in your marriage right now, are you? And he was like, I'm totally happy in my marriage. And he started having like these deep conversations and basically trying to get him to leave his wife.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm hearing all this. I'm listening to it. And it's very fascinating. And this guy's really upset about this. And he was like, and I told them, and they shouldn't, blah, blah. I struggle with the idea that a computer system did that on its own. And I could be wrong, but I still think there's a bent of human nature that created that.
Oh, no, that's 100%.
That is the problem with that. It's a bent of human nature that whoever the creator of that was, whether they put it in as a joke and it expanded on itself.
Yeah. So I think it was Google AI. It may not have been Google AI, so I'm sorry if I'm misrepresenting it, but this is a great analogy. Is this company really kind of got blown up? This was maybe, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, in that they asked the model, would it be worth, I think it was like World War III or the nuclear holocaust, something of that verbiage, if what was at stake was misgendering Caitlyn Jenner. And the AI model, what it came back with was that it would be worth going to World War III rather than misgendering Caitlyn Jenner. And the reason that this went national was because what the person was attempting to do was basically outing the very thing you're talking about, that you can bend and put in a bent value system that will place certain things above others. And then it's taking those words and taking those probabilities of how to respond, and it's deciding, because it's a computer dealing with data, it's deciding based on the weight of what was put within it, it's acting as its creator. Right. And sure enough, when you got to the bottom of who was the quote-unquote creator, the value system was heavily leaning towards LGBTQ sympathies.
Right.
And that was weighted so heavy that what this person then exposed, and I want to say it was Google AI, was like ultimately, here you were, like saying if you handed our country over to AI, it'd be like, go ahead and nuke them. One thing we can't do is tell Caitlyn Jenner that, he's a man. You can't say that, so we might as well fire the nukes.
Wow.
So like, that's what I'm saying is like, so like to your point, that isn't an organic thing. That is a value system, or a mode, so to speak, that is reflecting the person who created it.
Right. And
so that's true. So that person just like losing their mind over who did this, that's the bent of it. That's what's wild. The argument, back to the two gentlemen I was referencing earlier, you can also then create models that are the other way, that are for your marriage.
Sure.
That would give you great resources to heal your marriage. That could give you a tutorial of 5 books of the best, Christian counselors within a 3-mile radius of you that have 5 stars or more of how to counsel you. That could give you 25 Bible verses that are all about marriage, and a Bible plan and a devotional plan of how to improve your marriage and praying together with your spouse. I mean, it just comes down to, it will reflect the maker.
Right.
And
what a great plan. As I just thought about this, I don't know how accurate I am, but what a great plan to freak Christians out and make us all look like a bunch of wackazoids going against it, so everyone could go, those Christians, they're such wackos. So stop. There's nothing new under the sun. It's just something new jacked up in our world that you can choose. I told Duffy this. I used to tell my youth all the time, all things are holy. And some people get mad at me for saying that. But truly, the creation of things, it comes from God. And when used for the right reasons, they have goodness for them. But it's the enemy who's not a creator, who is an imitator, who just takes what is being used and perverts it. So where's the perversion? Look for the perversion. And again, anyways.
So I'm gonna close out our time by just making this announcement. I am stepping down as the pastor of Pilgrim because I'm gonna become a typewriter repairman.
Oh my goodness!
Wait, that was funny, right? You see how I see how I straight faced it? Like,
oh my gosh!
Why? You should. Those of you that listen will never see Daniel's face. That was awesome.
I was like, what? How? Why did you choose this time?
I thought typewriter repairman was the hook.
Oh goodness gracious! No, that was good. You're gonna be broke. Oh man! All right. Well, that's all I have on AI. I think that's a good conversation.
Yeah,
it was a really good conversation.
Well, who should pray us out of here then?
You.
Okay. Let me chat GPT a prayer real quick.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Jesus, we love you so much. There are many things, God, that you have inspired the mind and the heart to create, and we thank you for that ability. You were the one who literally spoke things into being, into existence. They went from nothing to something simply because you said so, and you have put that unique ability within us. God, of course, we are sitting on one side of the unknown, specifically when it comes to AI. There's no surprises to you. You already know what's behind door number 1, 2, and 3. And so we lift up our civilization to you, and we ask that you would do a mighty work, that you would also prepare some of these brilliant minds that you have uniquely created to also represent you well in all of these different fields and disciplines. And we know, God, ultimately, we know you're in control of everything. All things are subservient to you. All things in creation are merely your footstool. And so we thank you that you're seated on the throne. And we thank you that you're in absolute control. We love you, Jesus. Thank you for dying for us, rising again, that we have hope with you for all eternity. It's in your name. Amen.
Amen. See you next time.
See ya.